Good evening, folks. So we are here at week 6. We get through this week, and we're gonna be halfway through the season. Man, it's just unbelievable. We're already there, almost halfway through the season, and looking forward to another good week. Last week, Gator Dave didn't do too bad. 8-4, pretty respectable. Hopefully, we can keep that trend up. The vacation week kind of screwed things up a bit, but we're ready to move forward and put that week behind us, and hopefully have another good week here coming up this week. Now we're kind of in the heart of the schedules, so hopefully we'll be seeing a little bit better games, more competitive games. We had a number of surprises again last week. Probably not as big as what we've seen lately, but now we're starting to see teams kind of the cream rise to the top, and those better teams kind of coming into play. We've seen a little bit of movement in those top tiers. You know, they put Alabama at number 1. I'm not really right now. I'll be honest with you. I think Ohio State should be in that number 1 slot right now. Kind of just because of the way Alabama's played as of late. We'll see. We'll see what they do with Jimbo on Saturday. Could be an interesting game. The quarterback Johnson's out for Texas A&M, so it's going to be interesting. And I heard that they're going to start the freshmen, so we don't have that game on the list. Way too many points, in my opinion, but it'll definitely be an interesting game to see what Jimbo trots out there with that freshman starting. So could be interesting. So, all right. Are we ready?
We're ready,
Are you
Dave.
ready, Mike?
I'm good, man. I got the title up. We got the bio going. We got the tags, the hashtags. We're live. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're just joining in. Jump in the chat. Say what's up. Week 6. We are back at it.
We are back at it. Please subscribe and please like. It'll help us out tremendously. So, Mike, do you want to go over? You want to go over last week stats now, and
Yeah.
then the numbers from last week, and then we roll into this week.
Yep. So last week's picks are up on the board, and you bounced back pretty well, sir. We swapped. We did exactly the opposite of what we had basically the week prior. So you definitely had a good week there. Look at those blues. Look at all those green next to those blues.
Oh, I see. I see. Oh, I love all that green. Love that green.
It looks
All
good.
right. All right. So hopefully this week we should be able to knock it out of the park again. I feel pretty good about most of my picks, but it's college football, and who knows? So you ready to get cranking?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it. You want to lead
All
us off
right.
with the first one?
Yeah. So we're starting out of the Power Five. We're going to start locally. Here with a big game, Georgia Southern versus Georgia State. So Georgia State is -3, over under 68 on this game. So Georgia Southern comes in. You know, they had a big upset game against Nebraska, right? Was that the one they got? I
Yep. At
think.
Nebraska, 30-point
Yeah,
underdog.
Nebraska.
Yep.
They come in
Or,
three and
or,
two.
or are you talking about the one at Florida a couple years back?
Don't even go down that Muschamp road there, Mikey. Come on now. Yeah, that's pretty. I'm impressed though. I'm impressed that you remember back that far when you were probably in high school. So, all right. So Georgia State is 1-4. So explain to me how Georgia Southern at 3-2, Georgia State at 1-4, and we got Georgia State favored by 3. They are playing down at the old Turner Field, right? So hopefully they'll have a good showing. A lot of folks down there this weekend. No Braves playing this weekend, so hopefully folks will get out for that game. So looking at the QB comparison, Georgia State's quarterback Van Treese, 61% completion rate, but he's an interception machine. Almost 50-50 TDs and interceptions. Darren Granger, not much of a tosser, but he's only throwing at 54% for Georgia State. Southern comes in at 4-1 against the spread. State's only 1-3-1. So again, Georgia State's favored by -3. Both defenses are just absolutely horrible. So, and that's why we got 68 on the over and under, which is quite a good point. So it's going to be a track meet again. Should be a pretty fun game. Georgia Southern is absolutely horrible at stopping the run. And Georgia State runs the ball 70% of the time. And over the last 4 years, the favorite is 4-0 in this game. So, after all that crap I just told you, making you think that Georgia Southern was the winner chicken dinner, I'm going Georgia State and -3. What say you, Mike?
No, I'm with you. I like this pick a lot. So the reason I think that it is where it is, Georgia State's played they played some tough competition. They played South Carolina, they played North Carolina. Now, granted, that's not it's not Alabama, it's not Georgia, right? But it's still D1 Power 5 school, especially out of the SEC, ACC. They also played Coastal Carolina, hung with them pretty well until Coastal pulled away. Almost beat North Carolina at home. My biggest thing is last week they played at Army and absolutely dominated. They won 31-14. Army is an option team. I know Clay Helton is now there at Georgia Southern, so he's kind of trying to change the flow of things a little bit. But ultimately, that team is built for speed. They're built to run the ball. I think Georgia State, this is always a clash in state too. State not Southern, Southern not State. They always have this little beef going between the two. So every time they play, it's a big deal. Georgia State, I think they get it done. I think it's State not Southern this year, unfortunately. Shout out to our guy Trav, a Georgia Southern alum. I don't think the Eagles get it done this week.
All right, and we got Don Play on the line too. And he says the only game he feels good about is Buffalo -3 at Bowling Green. Well, he needs to listen to the show tonight, right?
That's right.
We got some plays. Don.
Got some juice for you, Don.
Hey, 8-4 last week. Listen up. All right. Next game, you got this one because this is one of those you love the military academies there, Mikey. So.
Yeah, you say that, but. Who put this game on there? Was it me? Did I put that on there, or?
I don't know.
Okay, it just appeared. All right. I do love me some military academy football. I think Air Force is the team to beat this year when it comes to the 3. They've looked really good in the games that they have played this year, and Utah State has not. I thought Utah State was going to come to play a little bit after they kind of opened up against UConn, beat them. Granted, it's UConn. I get it. But still, Utah State against UConn, that's a big win. Then they go and get shut out against Alabama, but it's Alabama. The week after that was the issue for me. It was against Weber State. They lost. Utah State lost to Weber State at home, 35-7. Ouch.
Yeah.
Then they lost to UNLV, played them kind of tough, lost to BYU last week, played them pretty tough, but I think that, unfortunately, these programs are going 2 different ways, right? I think Air Force is shooting up this year. Their offense is on fire. I think they kind of rip Utah State a new one here. So I got Air Force -10. What do you think?
Yeah, so 10 points, you think, that's a lot for these teams that we're not real sure about. But again, Air Force coming in at 4-1, Utah State at 1-4. Quarterback comparisons, you got Daniels for Air Force. He's only thrown for 324 yards, but it's Air Force. They run the ball, right? He can take care of the ball. Bonner's only throwing at 56%, but guess what? Utah State, who sucks, has the quarterback out. So if you can imagine, as bad as they play, now they're going to have to play their backup. So, which makes things worse for poor Utah State. Their defense has just been horrible. Now, last year, Utah State did win this game 49-45, but again, as Mike talked about, and I'm saying Utah State's not the same team. You know, Daniels has done a good job taking care of the ball again and running the ball in that offense that they've got at Air Force. The loss that Air Force had at Wyoming is a bit deceiving because it was the first game of the year and they had a ton of kids that were out at the very beginning of the year. And all those kids are back. That's why they're on this roll. I think it's a blowout. 10 points is nothing in this particular game, so definitely want to take the 10 points in Air Force.
Yeah, one more note I do want to point out too, just to kind of pound that in a little harder. Air Force right now is the second rushing team in the nation. They average just under 370 yards a game. Utah State is ranked 200th in the nation. They're giving up just under 190. Also, a little bit of a points differential. Utah State on offense right now is only scoring an average of 17 points a game, whereas on defense, they're giving up an average of 36. Not great.
No.
Not great.
No. Against teams like Weber State. So
not great. Yeah.
No.
So heavy on Air Force this week. That one may be a lock right there.
Even though it's 10 points, I think it's a thrashing. I think it's a great bet. So.
Yeah. 10 points is a lot, but remember, it's college. There's 50-point spreads in college, so it's kind of nothing when you think of the grand scheme.
And we'll talk about some in a minute. So.
Yeah. All right, next game we're going to get into is Kansas State, Iowa State. I took Iowa State last week, and Kansas made me eat it, man. I took Kansas the week prior, and, I thought it was a fluke. I thought we're going to have a down year or down game once they played, real defense, real team. Iowa State looked terrible. 14-11. It was a terrible game to watch. Kansas got it done, and now Kansas is undefeated and hosting College Game Day on Saturday. So you got Kansas State on the other side. Went to Oklahoma in their one road game of the year, upset them, sort of sent the Sooners now on a downtrend spiral, and then they won last week. To carry on against Texas Tech, they beat them pretty good. Beat them by, I think, 9. Killed my under, unfortunately. I'm not salty. I think, unfortunately here, though, Iowa State, this is like my strike 3 with them. If they blow it for me here, I'm done. But I'm riding them one more time. I'm riding Matt Campbell. Pause. I think he's gonna get it done. I think his defense is gonna get it done. I think he's gonna rally the troops, and they're gonna be able to hold off Kansas State. Adrian Martinez is playing exactly like Adrian Martinez was supposed to play at Nebraska, though, and that's really the only thing that gives me pause. The fact that Iowa State did go against Kansas last week and they did have to play Jalen Daniels, they got a little more comfortable, I think, with that dual threat. They kept him in check pretty well, under 100 yards passing, under 10 yards rushing. It was just a sloppy game, didn't really go their way. But I think Iowa State gets it done this week. What do you like, Dave?
So I think this is going to be a good game. Obviously, the points are low. What do we have? -2.5? Is that what you got?
Yeah, Kansas State's -2.5.
Yeah, so it's set up to be a good game. Kansas State's 4-1. The Cyclones at 3-2 might kind of cover those. And quarterback comparison wise, Martinez is respectable at 62%. But he's running his ass off. He's averaging almost 100 yards a game. Deckers for Iowa State is 69%. Getting it done okay. Wildcats are 4-1 against the spread. Iowa State's 2-3 against the spread. And Mike's hoping, yes, they're going to get it to 50-50 at 3-3. So starting running back for Iowa State is probably not going to play. So I think that gives a little bit of push for the Kansas State side of things. Iowa State's one of their biggest problems is their special teams. They've got lots of turnovers. They've got block punts, block kicks. I mean, they're absolutely horrible on special teams. K-State comes in at +9 on turnover margin. So you couple that together, to me, that kind of pushes things a little in Kansas State's side. Obviously, we love, Matt Campbell. He's been the golden boy for a while, but I just don't think that's going to be his year. K-State's got a lot of weapons on offense, especially receivers and backs. I just think K-State's going to hold serve here, cover that 2.5, and probably do a little bit better than that. I mean, I safely say that they can make it 3 or 7, but the 2.5's a good bet at this point. So I feel very good about Kansas State and the 2.5.
I got you. I hear you. No, and that's it's a good pick too. Historically, Kleiman, the head coach for Kansas State, I mean, he's good. He is good as a dog. He's good when the chips are against him. So I like the pick. I was really, when you threw this one on there, I was not eager to pick either side, but I think the defense on Iowa State, I think they're able to keep Adrian Martinez in check. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to actually watching that one, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good game.
Next game.
Then we got another one there in the Big 12, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this is a game I definitely want to see. So TCU comes in -7 over Kansas, who's just tearing it up, over under 67.5. TCU 4-0, Kansas 5-0. I mean, hell, I can't remember the last time Kansas was 5-0. I don't know if it's been since I've been alive. So that is absolutely amazing. When we look at the quarterback comparison, you got Duncan for TCU, 74%.
Monster.
Killing it. Daniels at 68%, doing quite well and can run the ball too. TCU is 4-0 against the spread this year. The Jayhawks are 5-0 against the spread. Something's got to give. Something's got to give here, folks. And they are playing at Kansas. Right now, Duncan for TCU is leading the nation in QBR. And another little nugget that might help sway, which it did me, is Kansas lost their lead running back as well, so that's not going to fare well with them. And I think that advantage is going to be to TCU. Kansas's defense is only 108th right now, so Cinderella is done. I just don't think they're going to be able to hold up against TCU and your buddy there who's running the show. You love, what's his name?
At TCU?
Yes.
Sonny Dykes.
Sonny Dykes. Killing it. So
Killing it.
I think I'm going to call this one TCU in the 7, a Gator Dave lock.
Wow. That's bold. That is bold. All right, so the running back that you're talking about being out, is that Henshaw?
It's their leading running back.
Well,
They've got two.
So they got two like heads of a. They got two heads of the snake. That's what I mean.
One's down.
Okay, so if it's Henshaw, I'm not really concerned too much about it. If it's Neal, that's sort of a different story. I ultimately like the over here. I think there's gonna be a lot of points. I absolutely love TCU's quarterback. He is a dog. He is a monster. He is smart with the football. He puts dimes on his receivers. Oh, yeah, and he can take off and book it. I think he ran a 4.4 in that last game last week. I mean, he's got some wheels to him, outrunning defenders. I like the over. I think there's going to be a lot of offense. I like Jalen Daniels for Kansas. He is having a great year, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's playing possessed right now for the Jayhawks. I think they ride him. It's at Kansas, so that crowd is going to be lit after game day. They're going to be jumping. I think it's an early kickoff. Yeah, so it's an early kickoff. They're going straight from game day, rolling right into it. No energy hangover, just right there. I think it's going to be a lot of points. I'm really looking forward to watching this one for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great game. But that's a noon kickoff Eastern, right?
Yep, noon
So
Eastern. Yep.
I'll be in the swamp, baby.
Oh yeah, you'll be in this. We'll discuss that one. Don't jump the gun, Dave. Don't
We
jump. Come
shall.
on
We
now.
shall. I'm kind of excited though, Mike. Now that
You should be, in my
our
opinion.
teams are both looking like crap. All right.
You should be excited about this week. I'm not excited about my game, but we'll get into that. Next game we're
All
going to
right.
discuss is going to be Oregon State Stanford. It's one of the late games. It's 11 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. It's at Stanford. Oregon State should have won against USC. Gave it their all. Came up short, and then last week got absolutely pounded by Utah at Utah. Messed up my under towards the end of the game there. They sort of gave up, gave in. But now they're playing a really bad Stanford team. Stanford is playing at home, but man, they have not looked good the past 2 weeks. Going up to Washington and getting beat. Now going up to Oregon last week, getting beat by double digits. I don't think that's anything's really going to change for Stanford, other than them being at home this week. Oregon State handled them last year. They beat them 35-14. Stanford's defense just isn't up to their normal standard in my eyes. I think that's their biggest issue right now. Their defense is really really lacking. Guys are running all over the field, a lot of big plays, and they're running the ball kind of poorly. They have Emmitt Smith's son who showed bursts. I'm not sure if he's healthy right now though, because they did put a lot of weight on him. But I like where Stanford's going in the future. They got some good kids coming in their next recruiting class. Right now is not it. I got Oregon State in this one, -7. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, so Beavers coming in 3-2. Stanford is 1-3. Quarterback comparison here. Chance Nolan for Oregon State only throwing 59%. Tanner McKee at 64%. Oregon State's 4-1 against the spread. The Cardinal is 0-4 against the spread. And like Mike said, Stanford lost the game last year. Oregon State's been a little inconsistent this year, but to me they've been okay. But Stanford's defense is just flat horrible. Stanford's 0-11 against the spread in their last games against FBS teams. So it's just a downhill slide there. I'm calling this one Oregon State and -7 and another Gator Day block.
Nice. All right.
Hey,
Love
we
it.
got we got Scotty Boy and Public House joined Don in the chat. So hey guys, don't read the comments about Miami though, Mike. All right, I'll go ahead. You can go ahead and read, and I'll go ahead and hit the next one. So my team is playing my West Coast team, Utah, who lost their first game of the year. They're -4.5 versus UCLA over under is 65. So Utah comes in the game 4-1. Bruins are 5-0. Chippy is killing it. Cameron Rising at 68%. DTR at 74%. He's finally coming into his own and looking like the quarterback he was supposed to be 4 years ago. Utes are 4-1 against the spread. UCLA's 3-2, so close there. DTR had his best game ever against Washington, just smoked it in the air and on the ground. This line opened at -1.5, and now it's up to -4.5, I believe. Is that what you got, Mike?
For the Utah UCLA game?
Yeah, what do you have?
Let me double check. I got it at 3.5 right now.
3.5. All right, so
Yeah.
it's dropped a little bit back down to 3.5. All right. UCLA, now their schedule. Let's talk about their schedule at 5-0. 132nd toughest schedule in the nation. So they ain't played anybody yet.
Yep.
900 yards of offense in this game last year. which is going to get to my bet here in a second. UCLA doesn't do well against the pass, and I believe they're getting that. Utah's getting that tight end back that killed us in the swamp. So I think this one's going to be a flat out shootout. So I am going over in this game.
Right on. Yeah, I like Utah. I love Utah. If you watched our preview show at the beginning of the year, I had them actually going undefeated, making the playoff, making a pretty good run. I like them to do the same thing here. I think there's a lot of praise, a lot of hype behind UCLA right now. UCLA has not beaten anybody. They have not played anybody. I mean, they're 5-0. They've played Bowling Green, Alabama State, South Alabama, who they should have lost to, and I picked South Alabama. Was mildly upset with that, but we did get them on the points. It was like a 17-point dog. Lost by 1 point on a kick. Then they beat Colorado. They beat Washington last week. Washington's really their only good win of the year. But even at that, I mean, it's a Friday night in the Pac-12. There's always weird stuff that happens then. It just happened to be Washington that ran into that buzzsaw. I don't think it's going to go that way. This Utah team is different now, especially after they lost to Florida at the beginning of the year. They sort of know that they have to win out if they want to be in that picture at the end of the year.
Yep.
UCLA at 5-0 is definitely in their way. I think they absolutely mow them through. I got Utah money line as my pick. The over sort of, worries me a little bit. These defenses are pretty good. UCLA is pretty good against the run. Utah is pretty good against the pass. But I could definitely see it. I mean, there's going to have to be points put on the board one way or another. So I like the pick, Dave.
Yeah, I like yours too. If I had to go one way or another, I'd go Utah for sure. So
right on.
All right, let's hit your lead there, buddy. Let's hit the ACC, baby.
Yeah, you wanted. So you threw this game on there, and when I saw it earlier in the week, all I did was shake my head. All right, but as I did more research on it in the last couple days, I see why you did it. Ultimately, in my opinion, we could be wrong. We could be on either side here, but in my opinion, it's Duke all the way. Georgia Tech is not it. I think a lot of people are super hype on them last week. They fired their head coach. They went into Pittsburgh. They were a 3-touchdown underdog, ended up beating them. I don't think that's going to carry over to this week. There's always that first week after a coach gets fired, those players come together and, they sort of have that bonding, remember the Titans type moment. They had that. It was against Pittsburgh. I don't think it's going to go that way this week. I think Duke is actually for real. I said in the preview show at the beginning of the year that Duke was not going to be it. I thought they were going to have a serious drought and come down from the Rick Cutcliffe area. Or Dave Cutcliffe area, but they're clicking. That head coach has them going right now. I think they handle Georgia Tech pretty well at Georgia Tech. I mean, I could think this one might be the 3-touchdown game in my opinion. What do you think, Dave?
I think just the opposite there, Mike.
Oh, here we go.
There, so
all right.
Finally got a good head-to-head here. So Duke's 4-1, Tech's 2-3. Fired your coach. Riley Leonard, 72% for Duke, which is not too shabby. Jeff Sims at paltry 57%, but he can run his ass off, coming from Tallahassee State, right? So Duke is 3-2 against the spread. The Jackets are 2-3, so only one game separating there. Tech did well against Pitt with a win last week, and just let's see, what did they do against Clemson? They got hammered by Clemson. It was rough. Yeah, no doubt. Got hammered by Ole Miss. That's why they lost their coach. I think Duke's schedule is a little suspect here. I think Tech has put their coach behind them, and they're coming to play ball now. And I think Tech has more talent. I mean, if you really look at it, I mean, coach did a good job recruiting there. I mean, he's lost a couple of good players in the portal. He did a good job of recruiting. but I think they got the talent there, and I think Duke's little Cinderella comes to an end, and they lose to the lowly Jackets, and I'm going to take the Jackets at -3.
Right on. All right. Well, I like that one. That's a good, solid showdown pick. Because you're right. Georgia Tech has definitely played the harder schedule up until this point. Um, but they haven't won pretty much any of those games. So we'll see how much of an effect, or I guess that experience comes into this one. But Duke has, I mean, they played that Kansas team that we were just talking about. Almost they lost to them by 8, but they gave them a
What I said
game.
about Kansas, that's coming to an end this week. So.
Bounced back nicely last week. Yeah, I hear you. All right, well, no worries. We'll see. We'll see. I like that one though. Next one we're going to discuss is the team that you just sort of shouted out a little bit. Those guys up in the armpit of Florida, Florida State, are playing NC State. It's a primetime game on Saturday, 8 p.m. It's at NC State. NC State just coming off that loss last week against Clemson. Another primetime game. Really got dominated in that game for the most part. They got some, cheap little touchdown at the end of the game, made it a little closer than what it looked like, 30-20. Messed up my under, so thanks for that. I had some bad beats last week, Dave. I don't know if you caught on to that trend yet, but yeah, no. So but ultimately, I like NC State here. I think Florida State, yes, they've had a great year for the first third of it, but now they're running into the real meat of that schedule.
Yep.
We called it. We knew it was coming. This is the second of the third reality check that will be coming next week to them as well. This is just the one that they have Clemson next week. So this is a really tough 3-game slate for Florida State, going back to back to back with Wake last week, NC State this week, and Clemson next week. They can't afford to look ahead to Clemson at all next week. This NC State team and defense, his offense is clicking right now. The defense especially. If they look forward, they're going to get absolutely demolished in this game. I like NC State to get it done at home, prime time. They'll be wearing those all blacks, I'm sure of it. And I think they ultimately get it done. What do you think, Dave?
Yep, so both teams come in at 4-1. They both lost last week, right? Travis is at 66%. Leary's at 63%, so pretty close there. Seminoles are 3-2 against the spread. Wolfpack's only 2-3 because we've had a little confidence that's not quite been there.
Yep.
NC State won this game only 20-14 last year, but and obviously State's coming off that rough loss at Clemson, a little beat up. But FSU has got some pretty rough injuries too. Their list is starting to pile up like you guys. O-line being one, and their O-line, has been suspect. It's been better this year, but they've had a couple of injuries there, and I really think it's going to have an effect. And Travis can be running for his life back there. So. NC State's got a great defense, 14th overall in the nation. The other thing, last week, penalties are an issue, and especially for Florida State last year against Wake. So the train's starting to come off the tracks a little bit. I think the leopard is showing its spots, is the old term. So, yes. I think our original call at 7 or 8 wins for Florida State is now going to come to fruition, as we'll see in these next few games. I think that NC State defense is going to be too much for Florida State playing at NC State. I think it's just going to be too much. I feel very, very comfortable with NC State in those 3 points.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said, those penalties are a huge factor. That was last week at home against Wake Forest. They had 11 at home.
Yeah,
in a crowd that was sold out dominantly for Florida State. They still had 11 penalties. So going on the road in that same sort of situation now, I think that trend is probably going to continue. That discipline doesn't come that quick. So I think you're onto something there. Go Wolfpack. Next game we're going to discuss here is going to be the game that I did not want to see on this card, Dave. I didn't want to see it.
I had to put it there, baby.
I didn't think it would be there. I didn't even think it would be something that I would have to consider looking at it and from this perspective, but here we are. Miami, North Carolina. Miami looks.
You're favored by 3.5, Mike.
Man, that's
Mike.
like Nick Saban says, that's rat poison. All right.
You're playing at home, Mike.
That 3.5 is. There's gonna be fucking 5,000 people in that stadium. Nobody is going to that game. I hate it. It makes absolutely no sense. People say it's because we're not, a college team and we don't have a stadium on campus. It has nothing. We have 15,000 students, and 10,000 of them don't give a shit about sports. They're there for academics. They're there for nursing. They're there for law. They're there for marine biology. They don't give a damn about a team that sucks on football on Saturdays. They're in Miami. Come on, man. It has nothing to do with the stadium. There's just other shit to do in Miami. If you're not going to win, they're not going to show up. It's point blank, period. I hated what our guy said. I'm not going to name drop him, but you can find it. He said that our team against Middle Tennessee State, they came out looking like they were going to win. They didn't think that there was going to be a problem. They didn't prepare for them, and they got their asses kicked. So I'm willing to bet it was a real rough week and a half, rough 2 weeks. We had a bye week last week, so they've been sitting on this for a while. I don't think that really helps us. They've heard a whole lot about how Tyler Van Dyke is no longer the guy. At the beginning of the year, he was a Heisman potential. He was first round, potential first overall guy. Now he might not get drafted at this rate. He looks bad in this new system, this new scheme by Josh Gaddis, the OC that won the Broyles Award last year with Michigan, which is for best assistant in the nation. I thought he was going to come in, kind of click with what we had, but we've had a lot of injuries, and Van Dyke looks like a deer in headlights. He does not look comfortable. He does not look prepared. And now we're running into North Carolina's offense, which under Drake May, their freshman, who's leading the nation in passing yards, passing touchdowns, pretty much everything offensively that a quarterback can do at this point besides running the football. This kid is absolutely tearing it up. He's got Josh Downs. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Josh Downs should be a first-round, top 10 draft pick when he goes out. That kid is a monster. Straight Odell Beckham comparison style. I mean, he's got the juice. Josh Downs is a beast. When he goes, mark my words, he's going to tear us up this week. He might go for 200 yards. 10 catches, 200 yards. Our DBs are slow. They look bad. I hate to say it, but if I had to take a side, man, I'd probably go North Carolina in this one. I really hate it. I hate going against my guys. I hope that they right the ship this week and get it turned around, but it's going to be a real look in the mirror type of game, and I think we're going to get punched in the mouth again. So we'll see how they fight back. I think that first half is going to be a little bit rough, though. I hope they fight back in the second half, make it a game, pull it out. But ultimately, I'm on the over. I think our offense does some things in this last week and a half. I think Gaddis got with Van Dyke. And this, which blew my mind, apparently this is the first time that they've had a conversation about what Van Dyke is comfortable with in the offense and what he's not. It's week 6 of the actual season. You didn't think maybe in the off season, any of these camps, that it'd probably be good to sit down with your quarterback and see, hey man, how you feeling here? You comfortable? What do you think about this play? What do you think if we did it this way? That hasn't happened once, so not really super stoked about that. Granted, Gaddis is our wide receivers coach also, so he's a little split up. But I mean, come on, man. It's your QB. You got to be on the same page as your guy. So supposedly they got together this week and they've hashed that out now. We just got too many injuries. We're getting our 2 starting running backs back. That's going to help. I like the over. I like points. I think there's going to be a lot of more points on North Carolina's side, though, unfortunately. Take that for what you will. Gator Dave, that's the end of my rant. You may.
Well, I hope you feel a little bit better, Mike.
I don't. I will preach this from the top of every mountain that I can. It's not good right now.
If I could take your segment and give it to the recruits that are trying to decide between Miami and Florida,
Nah.
Winner chicken dinner.
Oh, you want to do that? You want to do that? Okay. Recruits. Do you see this dumpster fucking fire that we're putting on this field in your hometown every Saturday? Don't you want to be something? Don't you want to do something to change that? Don't you want to contribute and put on for your city to make that happen? You're going to get playing time. As you can see, you're going to get time. You just do what you do. You're going to get on that field. You're going to be a stud. You're going to be an All-American. We're going to put you in the league. First-round draft pick. We're going to win rings if you play the way that you do. Go ahead and recruit your buddies. Get all your brothers. Get all your cousins. Get all your friends. Bring them into Miami. Let's turn around and make it happen. Screw Georgia. Screw Florida. FSU, nobody needs them. Let's make it happen, all right? That's my ploy. You see what's on the field. You've seen what's on the field for 20 years.
Garbage on the field, right?
Ever since these kids have... This is the issue, Dave. The kids that are being recruited right now in high school have never seen a Miami football team that they can be proud of. That hurts my heart.
Yeah,
that hurts my heart.
So when you were a youngster, yes. All right. So after the rant, we're gonna talk about the game. Tar Heels 4-1, Kings 2-2. Quarterback comparison. Mike put it nicely. Van Dyke, he's throwing at 59%.
He got booed by those 5,000 people at the game.
Let me give you the yards. 59% for 800 yards. Drake made the freshman.
Don't do it.
70% for 1,600 yards. Wow.
Thanks, Dave.
North Carolina, however, 2-1 against the spread. Miami is 1-3 against the spread. North Carolina won the game last year, 45-42. Miami had that bye week, so they should be ready.
Nothing.
Miami did get beat by MTSU. I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm just going to say it. And Mike pointed out his secondary, right? And the secondary needs a lot of work. That's why our boy May's going to light it up, just like Mike said. The two defenses are not doing well. I mean, North Carolina's defense is hot garbage. So I don't care how bad Van Dyke's been, he's going to put up yards. I think this is a track meet, and I think Mike and I both agree, as much as he's down on his team right now, bet the freaking over, baby, because it's going to be a track meet. No defense in this game. Boom.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm with you. Our corners need the shit that Forrest Gump had to get them going again. They need some speed back there. We need Carmani McLean.
Do we want to bet right now?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think it's between you and Bama at this point. Unfortunately for me. Yeah, I think it's you and Bama. Well, we'll see. All right, so we can finally move on from that one. Let's get it off the screen. What's up, Zach? We see you in the chat, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Zachary?
You just missed a serious rant, brother. You came in at a good time.
We're going to start with near and dear to my heart because my wife, my son are Bulldogs. So we have Auburn and Georgia. Georgia, what's the latest, Mike? It was around 30, 29. Where are we on this game?
Yeah, it's at 30.
30 points Georgia's getting over Auburn. Over under 49. Auburn's 3-2. Dogs 5-0. Close game against Missouri. Robbie Ashford throwing at a blazing 54%, but he can't run the ball. Stetson's at 69% for 1,500 yards. Remember we talked about our boy up there in North Carolina at 1,600. This kid's Stetson's thrown for 1,500. War Eagle is 1-4 against the spread. The Dogs are only 2-3 against the spread this year. Last week the Dogs escaped that Missouri team. They played like crap, but I'll be honest with you, it was a lot of turnovers. Turnovers killed them. If you look at the yardage on that game, it wasn't even close. It was a freaking massacre on the yardage. But they turned the ball over. Stetson didn't look sharp. He's got to get his shit together really, really fast. Auburn, close loss to LSU last week. They got lucky as hell against Missouri. I mean, the Missouri player fumbles the ball at the freaking one and it rolls out.
You're bringing up PTSD for me right now, Dave.
That's unbelievable, right? Auburn is -9 on turnovers. -9. So the only thing that's kind of got me in just a little bit of a doubt is, which dog teams it's going to show up. The one that played at Oregon or the one that's played the last 2 weeks. If it's the last 2 weeks, then, and I'm kind of going in between when I look at my pick, the last 2 weeks, they've had close games, not 30-point wins.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take that. And I'm going to take Oregon. I'm going to go in the middle. That's why I'm going to say Auburn +30 in this game. I just don't think they're going to cover. I've talked to a couple of Dog fans, and they don't think they're going to cover 30 points either at this point.
Right.
Who knows? My son and his Australian buddies are going to the game. They're headed down there tomorrow night. So they should have a good time. I mean, it'll be their first time seeing an American college football game. So hats off to Saul and his boys going down there. But I'm going to have to take Auburn at +30.
Hey, that's a good one to go to, though.
Oh, it is.
A nice little rivalry. It's going to be a nice crowd, good energy.
I mean, they're going to be blown away by American college football. So.
Yeah, that's a good one to initiate them to. Yeah, I don't know. This was another one I wasn't stoked when you threw it on here. It's a lot of points. It's a whole lot of points. Auburn is still under turmoil, really, with Brian Harsin. The boosters, the board. Now I feel like most of the fans, they want him out. They want him gone, but he keeps winning. Besides last week against LSU, but they lost by 4 in a game that really nobody gave him a chance in. I mean, LSU, I think, got up to 10 before that game started. They were favored by, and Auburn competed with them. Robbie Ashford is legit. Kid transferred from Oregon. He's got it. I'm sorry that he's stuck at Auburn with Harsin right now and the shit show that sort of, they probably have to deal with on campus and off right now in between games. Having said that, if I had to pick a side, I'd probably go Auburn +30 with you. I was really torn on what way I wanted to go in this game. Because it is a lot of points. I mean, Auburn +30 is a lot. Georgia has struggled these last 2 weeks. Granted, last week was against Missouri. That's Power 5, that's SEC, that's division, competition. But the week before that was Kent State, and they did not look good.
Yes.
They did not look good. They didn't look good last week. I fully expect for Kirby to snap back on these guys, for Stetson Bennett to get the offense right, step up from a leadership role, get those guys back on track as well. I really think this game is going to be pretty low scoring. I think it's going to be a big possession game. I think it's going to be a lot of running the football, whether Ashford for Auburn and Tank Bigsby. That's another guy that we didn't mention is Tank Bigsby is, top 5 running back talent in the nation. And he hasn't gotten any play because of all this Auburn shit that's going on. Yep. So he's going to come to play. I'm with you. I really like that Auburn +30 now that we're discussing it a little more. Unfortunately, the side that I took for our recap is the under. So I took the under 50. But another thing to note, too, that under at 50, that's a pretty low under when you're looking at that spread line at 30. 30 is probably a general good pick right there. I think you're onto something with that, Dave.
So I toyed with the under or the plus 30. That's where I was. I had the under and I changed it to plus 30. So I'm with you there.
All right, that makes me feel better. That makes me feel better.
I think it's a good play.
I really think the way that game's going to go, I think it's going to be, pretty competitive in the first half. Auburn's going to come out with some energy. Georgia's going to come out probably a little flat, thinking, it's Auburn. They're about to, get things back on track. At the same time, thinking about those last two games and how they've struggled. If Auburn gets out early, that's definitely going to be in the back of those guys' heads on Georgia's side for sure.
I think turnovers, from what we saw last week with Georgia and Auburn in general, I think it's going to play a big role here. So,
yeah.
It could be a freaking turnover fest. We don't
know. I could see it being something like 14-13 at halftime, and Auburn's winning, and then Georgia comes out in the second half, and their defense is just lights out, and they put a grave in them, and it's 31-16, 31-20 when it's all said and done. So, I'm right on that edge with that under. I really don't like it. I'd probably go that plus 30 though.
Yeah. Like I said, I consulted my Don Merritt is my guy at work, and I consulted him. I said, man, I'm toying between the under and the plus 30. He said, go plus 30. So I'm going with Donnie Boy here. So, all right. Next game, Tennessee, LSU. You call that one. I got the next one.
Mr. Navoski, what up, man? I see you in the chat. What's going on? Zach said Wake lock. Moneyline worked out for him last week. Yeah, man, I loved it. Going to keep dogging on FSU and take NC State. We're with you, man. We're with you.
No doubt.
We like that NC State play as well. And I see you again, Navoski. Yeah, we're talking, man. Hey, I think fully Georgia should beat Auburn by 30. Will they? Don't know.
We don't know.
That's why the game's got to be played.
That is right.
All right. We got two more for you, and then we'll wrap it up for week 6. We'll wrap it up, of course, with Gator Dave's lovely team at the end, so he can leave us with a spirited pick to send us off into the sunset. The next game we're going to discuss here is going to be that Tennessee LSU game. So a little bit of what we were just talking about with LSU last week against Auburn. LSU was supposed to win. They were supposed to win by as much as 10 at one point. Ended up barely beating Auburn at Auburn though. Beat them by 4. Now they're hosting a Tennessee team which is top 10 and probably the best Tennessee team in the last 20, 25 years, easy. I like Tennessee a lot in this slot. They are wearing their gray smoke jerseys. They're coming to play. It is Death Valley at LSU. It's hard to win a night game at LSU.
Hey, it's a noon game, though. Noon game.
Oh, it is? Oh, I thought it was a night game. Okay. Well, no, I like that even more. Yeah, I love Tennessee money line here. Hendon Hooker is that guy. He is him. All right. That offense for Tennessee, Heupel has them clicking. The defense, Pruitt had those guys. People forget that Tennessee's head coach before Heupel, he was a defensive guy. He's got defensive talent on that side of the ball. He just was lacking on offense. Now Heupel comes in from UCF, gets those offensive transfers in like Hooker. He's got Joe Milton as the backup from Michigan, who could easily also be that guy. I love Tennessee in this spot. I think Tennessee's really going to make some noise this year. And that Georgia-Tennessee game that's coming up next month, that's going to be a huge matchup, I think. I think Tennessee keeps that trend going, and that could end up being maybe a top 5 matchup.
I'm with you. So Fall's coming at 4-0, LSU at 4-1. Hayden Hooker leads the nation with the number 1 offense. 72% pass completion. Granted, it's that fast-paced old UCF dink and dunk. Very fast-paced. Jaden Daniels coming in at 69%. Tennessee's 3-1 against the spread. The Tigers are 3-2 against the spread. Duval's defense, however, ranked 93rd in the nation. We know that's their downfall. LSU's defense is stronger. and this is going to be the best defense, in my opinion, the Vols have faced. Our defense blows, no question about it. But this is going to be the best defense that Tennessee has faced so far. That's why this line's at -3 and not 10.
Right.
So Daniels has run the ball well. He's gonna hit the balls hard. The thing to remember is that Ashford did well against LSU secondary. I think that Hooker's going to do the same thing. At the same time, do we have the improving LSU team that shows up, or do we have that team that showed up against Florida State? So we'll see. Hooker is the number 6 quarterback in QBR in the nation. LSU only gave up 3.6 yards per play last week. So I think this is going to be a pretty decent game. I don't see Tennessee blowing them out, but I feel very comfortable saying that Tennessee is going to win by the 3 points. So
yeah,
I'm going to say take the Vols here at -3.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 28-20, something like that. But again, so where the line is, just for some context behind that, Tennessee really hasn't played anybody as far as the line maker is concerned is going. They opened with Ball State the second week.
I mean, if things had gone a little bit better on the Gator side,
that's exactly where I was going with it.
Swamp, they'd have lost to the Gators.
Right.
So,
No, yes, that's exactly what I mean. If you look at the teams that they've played and sort of the scenario and what those teams have done prior to and since, it's not there anymore, really. Ball State that first week, Ball State's not good. Pittsburgh, that was their one away game that they've played this year out of those 4 games was at Pittsburgh. They snuck away with a victory there, but really, they hurt Slovis in that first half. Pittsburgh's offense really wasn't the same for the rest of that game, and they still almost won. Now Pittsburgh last week, like we talked about earlier, 3-touchdown favorite against Georgia Tech at home, and they lose. So, and now they're out of the top 25. Their sort of credibility is in question right now moving forward. They got to make some plays, make some moves. Then Tennessee played Akron. I mean, it's Akron. Everybody's going to beat up on them. That's why they played them. That's why they paid them. The next week that they played y'all. They played Florida, and like you said, the defense on Florida is not what it is or not what it's been in the past, at least right now. And the offense. The offense has been a major letdown for y'all. This will be a nice – you see how I'm doing this? This is professional, Dave. We're going to transition right into yours off this. I just don't think I don't think Tennessee's played anybody. Like you said, this is going to be their real first test against a solid defense, against a team that, everybody says that they should beat and win, depending on who they are. But it's Brian Kelly.
I know.
It's Brian
Kelly. Like that dude. But
I just can't do it.
That 12 o'clock game is – had it been a night game, I might be betting differently. But
100%.
It's just not going to be as crazy.
100%. If it was a night game, I'd probably be on the under, and I would stay far away from anything else in that game. Because I'm with you. If it was a night game, that's got all the writings on the wall for just it being a complete shit show. It could go anyway, for sure. All right, sir.
All right. Next game.
Final game.
Gators playing Missouri in the swamp. Gator Dave will be there with his boy Trey. We'll be checking the
third
game
person
out.
there. All right.
I got -10.5. What do you got, Mike?
I got it at -10.5.
-10.5 over 154.5. So Missouri is 2-3. The Mighty Gators are at 3-2. We've won our last 2 games. Hey, Brady Cook for Missouri throwing at 63%, AR-15 at 57%. Both teams 3-2 against the spread. Last 2 games, we're starting to see improvement with Richardson. If he can keep that going, we're in pretty good shape. Last week, I believe he had almost almost perfect. I think he threw about 75%. Against Tennessee, he had 500 yards, 40 yards in the air and 100 yards running. So
Yeah.
the kid's kicking ass right now. So our offense is not worrying me in the least at this point. Missouri is 94th against the rush. And the running backs in the AR-15 can run the ball. So I think that's going to be to their advantage. I think that's maybe why everybody's thinking 10.5. I think Florida's going to score some points. But Florida's defense is freaking steaming dog doo-doo. Totally dog doo-doo. I mean, we played a team last week in Eastern Washington, and they moved the ball on us. And that's just it's unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. The defense sucks. Happy with the offense and where that's going. I got no issues there. You know, I think in this particular game that, you know, we've got enough offense and I mean, I think our offense is easily going to take over the game, but our defense is going to be enough to where Missouri can hang around. But I don't think that we can win by more than 10. So that's why I like the 10.5 here. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to do like you. I'm going against my team. I'm going to take Missouri because I think Florida's going to win by 7 to 10. I don't think we can win by more than 10. I hope we do. You know, if we do, then that's a nice sign. In my opinion, if we win by more than 10, I think that we have the ability to beat everybody on the schedule with the exception of Georgia. Just hang with me, Mike. We're Vanderbilt, okay, LSU, Texas A&M, Florida State, and Georgia. Obviously not Georgia, but if we can show that our defense has come away and our offense is still progressing, and we win by more than 10, I think it's going to be a great sign for the Gators. But I'm not confident that that's going to happen. So if I'm betting my money, I'm going Missouri in the 10.5.
All right, that's fair. I hear everything that you're saying. I've actually bet on your team a couple times this year, and they've slapped me in the face around a little good bit. And I usually, you know, I usually get on the other side. You know, when you go against your squad, it's usually a sign for me that, yep, that's when to go with the squad. And I'm doing it again, Dave. And I'm doing it again. We're going Florida minus 10. I do think your team performs. I think this is a game that things finally start to fall into place for Florida and for the fans to kind of see, like, okay, we are on the right track. We had a little bit of hiccup, you know, along the road here against South Florida. Got a little bit of a scare. Tennessee didn't go great, but I think the Tennessee game showed me a lot, specifically with your offense and AR-15 and Napier. Napier had said earlier in the year that, you know, they really didn't want Anthony Richardson running the football because you guys don't have a lot of depth at the QB position right now. Totally understandable. But if you want to win football games, you gotta take the training wheels off the kid. I mean, he's a absolute stud. You know, Tebow 2.0, Cam 2.0. Utah's DBs didn't really feel the same, and neither did Kentucky's. But I do think he is that guy. I think Napier was just holding him back because he was worried that he was going to get injured, and if he gets injured, there goes Florida's season. And now, you know, instead of Napier having a bowl game year, potentially plus, you know, a nice New Year's bowl, maybe they might not make a bowl game without Anthony Richardson at quarterback. So I think he was very shy and very cautious about giving him those reps to run the football and taking those wheels off. But now that he has, I think Your people are going to start to see. The issue with me is this is going to be a big game also to see if that's something that, if it's finally done, if it's squashed, if he's going to let AR be AR, or if he's only going to do that in big games that Florida's not supposed to win and he wants to win, kind of deal. Like with Utah, the Tennessee game, where it's a bigger game now. All right, let's let him do what he needs to do. And then when we play Eastern Washington, when we play, South Florida, let's be a little more conservative. I'm eager to see what they do with him in this game. I do think the trend continues. I think they let him play. And I do think your defense steps up. Missouri's quarterback is good, okay?
Yeah, he's good.
Cook is good.
Let me kind of jump on what you said, in terms of I think they're going to let him go and do his thing. I think that Napier's done with being conservative with AR because the backup quarterback played half of the game in the Eastern Washington game and seemed salvageable.
Mm-hmm.
He had good reads. He read the defense well. He made good passes. So I think that gives Napier. I think you make a great point here, Mike. I think that gives Napier a little bit more confidence, and I think he's going to continue to push, Richardson and let him run because now he knows, I've got this kid that could come in and maybe not. Going against what you said, maybe not lose all our games. So I think he's going to push him. That's why I feel very, very, very good about the offense, but I just don't have that confidence in the defense. We're bringing Trey Dean back, who, folks that are Gator fans, they know this guy is hot garbage as a safety. He is the main reason we lost to Tennessee. He got burned 2 times for touchdowns, long, big touchdowns, and he's coming back. So we just don't have the confidence of Gator fans in that defense right now. But I feel like you do. I feel like the offense is clicking, it's rolling, it's going to happen. If I were to take, the over-under in this game, I would definitely go over 54.5 points in this game too. Mm-hmm. But I feel more secure saying we're not going to be able to beat them by more than 10 at this point.
I hear you. I did want to mention, so you said something about your defense struggling against Eastern Washington. They were getting up and down the field. I want to point something out to you, sir. You were winning 35-3 at halftime. Okay? The final score of the game was 52-17. Eastern Washington didn't score their touchdowns until the fourth quarter. And that's when they got both of them. Hold on. And y'all emptied the absolute bench.
Oh, right after halftime.
You emptied the bench. So, yeah. Which was, personally, I think you guys played Eastern Washington at the absolute perfect time that you could have scheduled them. That AD... Whoever the AD was at that time when they scheduled this game did y'all an extreme favor. Because now you get that Tennessee game where that defense got beat up. You were able to empty the bench. You were able to unload a little bit. Now everybody's got PT, so if people do go down, they have that confidence that they can step in and, play that role. I think ultimately, I think that would be the play in this one is the over. It sounds like it because I do like the quarterback from Missouri. Cook is good, okay? Cook, if he gets weapons around him at Missouri, they could do something. And Missouri's right there where they could have beat Bama. Or, no, not Bama. I'm sorry. Georgia. They could have beat Georgia last week. They could have beat Auburn. Missouri's in a position where they could easily be 4-1 in this game. They got absolutely demolished by Kansas State, so I can't even say that they'd be 5-0. But they could be 4-1 going into this game. But you look at Florida, y'all could easily be undefeated going into this game as well. That Utah game, that Tennessee game, and the Kentucky game, those really could have gone either way. But at least, maybe just one loss rather than the two. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. But ultimately, I think Florida ends up pulling away. But I think the over is probably the safer bet out of all of them. Yeah, I think the over is the safest bet.
Yep.
All right, sir. Well, let me throw up our recap. I'm gonna give you. Well, you know what? Before I do, let me look you in the eye here when I give you this surprise game because it's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be something you don't want to touch with a 10-foot
I don't even
pole.
know who they are.
Oh, buddy, you're gonna love it.
Who is it?
So it's gonna 6 p.m. Eastern kickoff. It's gonna be the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky going against the Roadrunners of University of Texas San Antonio at UTSA. I'm just gonna leave you with that, and I'm just gonna let you cook and simmer on it a little bit while I go through the recap here.
All right. So let me do my analyzation of this game.
Yeah, do your analyzation. All right.
Um,
So hold on. So let me run through the recap real quick while you're doing your analyzation. So we both got Georgia State money line here at the top. We were both on Air Force -10. Dave is on Kansas State money line. I like Iowa State +3. TCU -7 is where Dave's at. I like the over more in that game against Kansas at 69. The next one we got is Oregon State -7. Me and Dave are both on that against Stanford. Utah, UCLA. Dave likes the over. I like Utah to win. I don't think Brian Kelly is it ultimately. UCLA is a fraud in my opinion. Georgia Tech +3.5 is Dave's pick at home against Duke. I like Duke to get it done. Money line. We both like NC State money line at home against Florida State. We think that trend continues and Florida State gets that reality check that they so deserve. Next week they will follow that up with a loss to Clemson as well. You can go ahead and I don't care what the spread is. It's a loss. North Carolina, Miami. I hate it, but we're both going over 66. Dave likes Auburn +30 against the Dogs. I think that's the play also, but I'm gonna jump on the under. I think it's gonna be low scoring. Tennessee money line, we both like them in Death Valley at noon kickoff Eastern time on Saturday against the LSU Tigers. And then last but not least, the game we just discussed. Dave likes Missouri against his Florida Gators, and I'm taking the Gators. I'm riding on his pessimism and my optimism. Go AR-15.
all right. So we've got UTSA versus Western Kentucky. So this game is 6.5 points to UTSA. Is that what you got?
Let me double check, but it sounds correct. You can go with it. Yeah, I got it at 7. So UTSA I have favored by 7.
All right, and let's see, UTSA. I am gonna go. I'm gonna take Hilltoppers and +6.5.
I like it. I'm actually on the over here. I'm taking the over. I think it's just going to be an absolute shootout. I like UTSA. I love them at home. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. Give me all those points. Give me all of them. It's going to be an absolute shootout. Western Kentucky is 9th in the nation right now in passing. UTSA is 3rd in the nation in passing. Western Kentucky is 164th in passing defense. UTSA is 192nd in passing defense. UTSA's defense is giving up 34 points a game. Their offense is scoring 39 a game. Western Kentucky's offense is scoring 44 a game, 9th in the nation, and they're giving up 22 a game. So I think it is going to be a lot of points. It's in San Antonio. They play in a dome. Look for just complete air show. It's going to be – I love the points there.
All right. I'm going to go Hilltoppers at +6.5.
Hilltoppers.
Western Kentucky.
I love it.
All right.
Have you ever seen the Western Kentucky mascot?
No, I know what their logo looks like.
Well, if you want a nice little
Hilltopper?
it doesn't I've never seen I don't know what a hilltopper is. You know, I've never come across one in my time, but if I ever see a hilltopper like that on the top of a hill, I'm moving in the other direction, sir.
That looks like, and this is way before your time.
I know where you're going with this.
Folks my age would know what HR puffin stuff looks like, but Mike, when you get off the line, look up HR puffin stuff, and it's a red HR puffin stuff.
See, I think it looks like a red grimace.
He's ugly as hell. All right, so let's wrap her out there, Mike.
All right, sir.
I think we gave you guys some good picks this week. A little confidence in both of us. Obviously, we're both quite down on our teams. Gator Dave down on his defense. Mike down totally on his team right now.
Everything but the special teams.
Everything but the special teams. So that's going to be a shootout down there. So we'll see how that goes. Good luck with your picks. We'll be down the swamp for that noon game, like I said, with my boy Trey, and look forward to it. And go Gators.
Right on.
Say then, Mikey?
Yeah, no, you've said it all. Good luck to everybody. Week 6 picks. I hope it's a good one. We need a good bounce back for myself after last week. I had a nice little hot streak going. Fell off a little bit last week. You kind of taken the trophy from me in that aspect. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a trophy, something to do with next week for the pick leader. Who knows?
Shall we?
We'll see. But yeah, good luck. Go Canes. I'm gonna be. I don't bite my nails, but I'm gonna be biting my nails figuratively during that entire game. 'Cause man, I'm nervous for the trend. I think that's a big game for the path of our program the rest of this year, and I think yours as well, for sure.
It's the same thing. Absolutely is. Absolutely.
It's a big Saturday.
So,
big Saturday.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe to Get Ripped Collectibles. Like the video, help us out, and we'll be back next week.
Right on. Thank you, sir. Yep. Like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next week.